there seems to be that there were several people who played a part in creating the environment that allowed this to take place.
I think, and I think we all agree, the events of Wednesday were absolutely stunning and tragic and troubling. And we like to say, a nation of law and order. We are a nation of laws. And so anyone who broke the law, whether that was the people who incited the violence through their words, whether that was the actual rioters who went into our sacred space at the Capitol and intimidated the officers. We have an officer who is now deceased. We have vandalism. Any breaking of the law must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, no matter who committed the crime.
Of course. And so, with that in mind, what theoretically are going to be, or should be, at least from your perspective, I should say, what should be the next steps? Because, of course, like I said, it seems as if everything is still being figured out.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen the FBI now employ the AI, the facial recognition technology, and now you actually have names to go with faces of the people who were inside of the Capitol. You have some of the people inside of the Capitol who are self-professed and self-confessed, showing their trophy. So I believe that the FBI is doing their job. The harder question is around the President of the United States and what should happen to President Trump for his role in inciting the violence, in sending the protesters, I don't even want to call them protesters, to sending the insurrectionists to the Capitol with a charge to go and make their voices heard. That is the harder question. The House, as of this taping, is now saying that they are considering impeachment charges and will be ready for a vote as early as Monday or Tuesday. They're drawing up the articles of impeachment now. We'll see what happens in the Senate. Is that the right course of action? I think for the sake really of our nation and our children, we have got to say that when you break the law, there are consequences. Every action that each of us takes every day has a consequence, what we say and what we do. And the President of the United States must live by that same standard. He must have consequences for his actions, and that's, I think, what we'll see happening on the Hill.
Well, okay, so that's really, I think, an important point that you made, and that was about breaking the law, because there has also been a lot of criticism about the way law enforcement handled, the rioters who started out protesting, but of course, once they were breaking into the Capitol buildings, it became a riot, versus the way they handled Black Lives Matter protesters over the summer.
That's exactly right. We have seen the double standard all through the summer, starting really with the killing of George Floyd, but you can predate all of that. Let's go back 10, 20 years around protesters trying to assert their rights and how they have been treated by the police departments and by law enforcement. We saw it this summer in Washington, D.C., where the protesters were forcefully moved with police in riot gear away from Lafayette Park so that the president could come out and do his photo stunt. We didn't see any of that today. This week we saw these rioters with flagpoles with metal tips being gingerly handled, being allowed to go through barricades. We saw even pictures of barricades being opened for them. We saw officers taking selfies. I happen to go to the Capitol. I've been up there for some of the major events, Merrick Garland's impeachment confirmation and the impeachment vote. I had to go through 2 metal detectors, leave my purse at the door, and a 3rd metal detector before I could even get to the gallery. So how these people were allowed to get through these many checkpoints is really something that requires an investigation. And from my sense of it, it tells me that there were some at the doors who allowed them, who were complicit in allowing them to enter the premises. There are too many ways to stop people from getting in, with flagpoles, with metal tips, with ammunition, with explosives. It's unconscionable, and this tells me that there was a complete breakdown, if not complicity, in their entry into the Capitol building.
Well, Reverend